Hey, Nicky, quick question. Would you rather be unschooled, homeschooled, or get traditional schooling now that you have a choice?
Now that right, because I would never have a choice. I would say regular school. Here's why. I don't know that as a child, I would have wanted to spend that much time with my parents.
Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, I know everybody loves their parents and all, but how much time do you actually want to spend with your parents?
I mean, not only that, but I know for sure they're not taking me on
The
field
cool,
trips.
The cool field
They're not
trips.
sending me on field trips, all right? They're not taking me to the park to get my gym, my PE.
Well, the park if you're lucky, but you ain't going to the Museum of Natural History. You're not seeing the butterfly farm.
Yeah, they're not going to pay extra for that. They're not, they want to put me on the bus and say bye.
What's up, duckies?
Well, by the way, my parents are great guys. Had a great childhood.
We are back for you guys with another episode.
Now, I know if you heard last week's episode, it might have been a little hard to get through, but as you can tell, season 7, we finally figured out our mic situation. Kudos to us. They did not teach this in regular school for us. Maybe had we been homeschooled,
we would have learned about podcasting, right?
Yes. And if you're just joining us, we are Bubble Bath Stories, your favorite 15-minute podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Trendz.
I'm Manny.
And this week we are, okay, I want to be informative about this, but people really make it hard. Just before we start, I understand Manny and I don't have kids.
It's like we go over subjects like this so much. We're going to be the perfect parents.
Oh, we're going to be perfect. No. But we understand that we don't have kids, but we still can have opinions about things. And unschooling, if you have no idea what it is, it's become very popular.
It's a trend right now.
Yes, exactly.
TikTok's got a lot of videos going on where you got parents pushing this idea of unschooling. And like one that came up to us in particular was just like, had us really turning our necks back and forth to each other.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know what unschooling is, it's basically, it's not homeschooling, because homeschooling has a curriculum and there's rules and regulations that they have to abide by.
Still state tests they have to pass.
Right. Unschooling, although it is legal in all 50 states, requires none of that.
So, unschooling itself is defined as self-directed school. They're calling it free schooling. I guess, yeah, right? They don't attend any formal classes, have teachers, or adhere to formal curriculum of any kind. When you watch the videos, it's like they're just trying to show life skills, which, I don't know, our school had a class like that already.
I mean, yes, but that was like high school. Okay, so we saw this video. This lady took her kid to the grocery store, and she was basically teaching what I assume that parents were teaching their kids anyway, was how to shop, how to be conscious of a budget, how to shop. And again, I was not impressed because shouldn't you be teaching your kid this anyway?
Yeah, there's this idea going around with it. So basically, they're trying to take off any of the curriculum and any of the actual
supervision. It feels like
that comes with schooling. Yeah. So you got like the board, you got the teachers, you got the principal, you got the brick and mortar of the actual school.
Yeah.
And the unschooling part is taking the kid out of that whole structure, building your own structure of how to teach this child. But what is being shown to us as far as what the kids are being taught is like the kind of stuff you're supposed to teach your kids when they come home from school.
Right.
So like the budgeting, the grocery store thing. She was trying to say something along the line of, I'm going to teach my kid math by taking him to do these errands with me, and he's going to learn. I get the concept, the fundamental part of it, where they want to learn what's practical in the math part. But I mean, I went to school and came home and helped my parents with the groceries too, and I learned how to purchase the right priced avocados and still went to school.
Well, okay, so what what drew me to this was I was reading this article in Rolling Stones, and obviously we'll have all of this in our notes. So I was reading this article, and one of the things that stood out to me was that, okay, so the TikToker that we're talking about, what's her name? Did you write her name?
Yeah, her name was Onami.
Yeah, and she had a different TikTok where she showed this notebook of words that her son wrote, and the comments were not pleasant. But for me, what I got out of that was, so she did this interview with Rolling Stones, and apparently her 6-year-old does not know how to read. And although there's limited studies about unschooling, it is said that a lot of people who do it, the results usually are their kids may not learn how to read until they're about 12. And that to me feels dangerous.
Yeah. So I mean, when you get to the nitty gritty of the details,
like,
of
no,
it,
can we like talk about this for a second?
that
It feels dangerous.
It does.
That your 10-year-old may or may not know how to read.
It does feel dangerous. And, that's the comments that I've read a bunch of comments from people that are putting up about their experience with being unschooled. And they were saying, now we're trying to apply for colleges, and they're telling us at the college, bro, you need to go back to school.
Yeah. And what's funny is that I don't know if it was this video or the other video. Again, we'll send links for both the videos. But one of the comments were, well, what if your kid wants to go into a career that requires school? And the parent automatically was like, no, that's not going to happen. But if it does, we'll figure it out. And that feels problematic, because the whole basis of unschooling is to, I guess, let your child lead.
Yeah.
And you kind of follow. So if they're into rocks, you're supposed to get them more into it. I don't really know. But like, for you to automatically assume that your kid's not going to want to do that feels a little presumptuous.
That is one detail that kind of strikes me as odd. A lot of the development part that they're saying that they do is based on what the child wants to do at the time. So yeah, you were talking about the kid who doesn't know how to read or write at 6 years old. I'm not like 100% of what age everything gets developed, right?
Yeah.
And the comments online were unnecessary, because it's not about nobody's here to talk about what the kid, because the kid's not making the decision. Yeah. The kid can't say, "Hey, mom, teach me how to read." All the other kids are making fun of me.
Yeah.
No. That's not what's going on. The parent, though, is letting the kid give them cues of when to learn reading and writing and math,
which again feels dangerous.
That it makes it seem as though, well, like, yeah, what if the kid just says, I don't want to learn math ever?
Yeah. And it's also, okay, so this other thing that stuck out to me is, I, for one, do think there's a problem with our education system. Yeah. The way things have been going for the last 4 or 5 years, throw in the pandemic. Like, there's this one of the flyover states where they just passed this law where teachers have to teach about the Bible. Yeah. Or else they'll lose their licenses. Yes, the education it's in danger, girl. For sure. And I can see why people would want alternatives to teach their children. Because you're also factoring in school shootings, all these other things that parents feel like they want a little bit control of. So, I totally understand that. I don't think this idea of homeschooling or unschooling is lazy parenting. And I will tell you why. To me, personally, again, I know I don't have kids. I have tons of friends who are teachers, tons of nieces and nephews. But for me, what it says is that it's actually the opposite of lazy. Because now the parents are 150% involved. Because now they have to brush up on the curriculum. They have to teach themselves in order to be able to teach these kids. Whether it's, teaching about agriculture, how to whatever it is that you're choosing to teach your child. So I don't think it's lazy, but I also don't think it's for the faint at heart. And I think that sometimes people think it's a lot easier than it looks, which brought me to this idea of like, how dare you think that it's easy to be a teacher. Like, I get the whole idea of the pandemic probably made, and that was in the article too, about how parents felt like during the pandemic, they kind of felt like, oh, well, I could do this. How dare you think you could do the job better than somebody who's gone to like 6-7 years of schooling to learn how to teach? Not only that, it's not like they're teaching one kid. They have 30 kids that they're teaching, if that. Plus, they have all these requirements from the state. It's like a ton of things that are kind of stopping them from being the greatest teachers that they could be. Not to mention the kids that are in their class are not necessarily the most well-behaved kids. So you also have to factor that in. And so to me, it's just like, if more people decide to do this, that's fine. That is your choice. But also know the risk if more students are getting pulled out of schools, that's less funding for schools that are already getting less funding and will eventually close, leaving these teachers not to have jobs and leaving students potentially uneducated.
Yeah, that is one of the major problems. When I was reading about it, definitely in this Rolling Stone article we were talking about, they did have one guy on there, Robert Kuzmin, a professor of education at
You gotta talk in the mic, man.
Robert Kuzmin, a professor of education at Indiana University, and he's a managing director of the International Center of Home Education. What does all that mean? Well, basically, what does that all mean? Basically, he's one of the experts that this phenomenon has been happening enough to where now we need to do research of how many children are being affected by it.
Yep.
Basically, what he was saying, though, was that the problem with unschooling is what you were just saying. These teachers are pulling their kids out of traditional schooling and teaching them whatever it is that they particularly want to teach them.
Yeah.
And these kids are learning in a bubble and not learning with the rest of society. Mm-hmm. And the problem with that is that kids are more than just your children. Kids are the future in the sense of like, these are the people that are going to be in charge of our democratic system 10, 15, 20 years from now. And when they grow up in a situation where they're not being exposed to other ideas, other people, other societies, the way other people think, they go out into the world with just their one mindset, and they don't do things like vote. They don't do things like help out their community. They don't do things like get involved with their neighbors. They just shut themselves down because they've been learning to just do things for theirselves. This guy specifically was saying that civic-minded, community-minded, and there has been so the thing with school is that it puts in a civic mind and a community mind to you, and he is concerned that unschooling in a limited siloed environment can further contribute to children growing up in an isolated bubble without exposure to outside ideas and perspectives. Yeah. Basically, your kid will grow up not knowing what it's like to interact with people from other parts of the world. Like it or not, people, we got other people from all over the world in this country. Yeah. It's not gonna change. Yeah. It's gonna get more and more colorful the longer and longer we live. And that's just how it is. When you got kids who are growing up not knowing how to interact with other kids from different cultures, you're gonna get nothing but fights and wars and things that aren't gonna help society build up. Yeah. You shouldn't pull your kids out of the school. We got to improve the school.
Yeah, because the thing is, even with homeschooling, there's still meetups there's still ways to make sure that the kids are socializing, that parents are in the right community. But with homeschooling, it is like a free-for-all. And what's crazy to me is the fact that it's legal in all the states.
Yeah. The like unschooling.
There's
not the homeschooling.
No, there's no regulation to it. You don't even have to tell anybody if you're thinking about there's no studies to show if this is actually effective, if it's more effective than school. There's nothing about it. But I have seen it so much on TikTok. I've seen it so much pop up on Twitter. And I don't know. I'm just not impressed by what they are showing at all. The lady who showed that her kid wanted to write. It's just like, well, what are you doing to make... There has to be some accountability, right? I get that we want kids to tell us, and I feel like that's a lot of millennial parents trying to like heal their inner child by like projecting onto their kids that you have a choice, you could be... I get that, but it's also like if you send the kid to school for 8 hours, right? What are you doing at home?
Personally, I think you hit the nail on the head on that thing you just said. I think a lot of these parents that are buying into the unschooling fad are just personally mad about something going on in their own community.
And they think
I'm just going to pull my kid out to teach them a lesson. Not the kids.
No.
Them as in society.
Yeah.
And so, like, I honestly feel like a lot of these people are just doing it to piss somebody else off.
Yeah.
And it's just the kid that's going to suffer.
Yeah.
It's the kid who doesn't get friends.
I haven't heard of, like, an unschooled kid doing something extraordinary at a young age. I've heard of homeschool kids that go to regular schools. I would like to see more testing to see if, like, what's the big... Like, is this just a TikTok... This really feels like a social media trend to me. I really want you guys to know that.
A lot of
or is it beneficial to the... I would like to meet somebody who is unschooled.
A lot of it reminds me of that documentary about the Duggard family.
Yeah.
Shiny Happy People. And they talk about their religious group and some of the adults that were children growing up in that society. And they talk about how their classes were always some type of religious world around any kind of lesson.
Yeah.
So they could be learning math, and the math is only being taught in the sense of like what this has to do with Jesus.
Yeah.
But fast forward, they're adults trying to get regular jobs, and they can't because they didn't learn any of the actual schooling.
Yeah, because you know what it is? It's not like profound scientists or doctors or experts in their field unschooling their kids.
Yeah.
It is people that you go, oh, that's interesting that you feel that you would be able to teach your kid. It's a lot of questionable people that you're like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
Right,
you get what I'm saying? Like, if my parents were doctors and they were unschooling me, but they were teaching me science, the things that they had to learn to be doctors, then maybe I wouldn't be in such a bad spot, right?
Yes, yeah.
But if you are an entrepreneur in, in selling clothes, right?
Yeah.
That's a bad one. I don't even know. If you're an entrepreneur in a certain field, but like you're unschooling your kid, but they don't know how to read or math, that's part of entrepreneurship.
That's another problem on this is that the unschooling fad is happening by people who are not experts in anything.
This is so scary.
If my dad was a rocket scientist and he
Yes.
said, you know what? I'm going to pull
yeah.
you out of school and you're going to learn nothing but rocket science
Yeah.
until you're 18.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
No.
Because it sounds like he's got it.
Yeah, worst case, you're awkward, you have no social skills.
And so, and that's the problem. They do bring it up in the article too, is that these people pulling their kids out to do the unschooling, they don't have any kind of actual professional credentials to do this.
Wait, that's not fair. They are experts in vibes.
Yeah, experts in vibes. Yeah.
And the vibe is saying unschool your kids.
All right. One of the other professionals they had in the article, she's part of the heads of the Cooney Hunter College, right? And so she had a kid. Her name's Gina Riley. She has a kid. She put through homeschooling, and she's the one who was bringing up the fact that like it was after COVID that people were already having to participate in their kids' schooling. Right. They decided, oh, you know what? This doesn't seem so hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So she was saying
audacity.
That it's audacity, yes. Because it's the fact that like you're what are you teaching your kid at school that we could be doing over here in the regular school? So she's saying, like, my kid was homeschooled, right? And even her kid was in the article saying, like, yeah, I was homeschooled. But she's a professor.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a professor. Like, I'm sorry. This Omani lady, I don't know what she is, but, like, she's a professor. Here's my other problem, too. That lady that was on the TikTok about that, talking about take your kids out of structured school and, like...
Yeah.
Well, she's selling a program of how to teach unschooling.
Yeah.
Isn't that...
It's in the shape of a pyramid.
Isn't that a structure? I don't know. I think it's a little backwards. And I think one of the main problems is that the people who are doing it, I don't know. I don't think they should be doing that.
I think it's also, the Omani lady at least acknowledges that unschooling your kid and homeschooling is not only a time commitment, I'm sure it's financial commitment, but also it's a privilege.
It is.
It is a privilege. Not everybody can, do that with their kids and be home with them all day. And so it's just like another layer of hypocrisy, right? Like if you go to public school, you're trash because, you're too poor, you're dumb, you go to public school. If you go to private school, you're rich and, that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
If you go to a magnet school, oh my God, you're super smart, but you're poor, or you just live in the district, but, it works. Yeah. And then homeschool, you're like a freak of nature. Unschooling, I don't even know but there's just like, it's just another added layer to I feel like to make parents feel bad.
Yeah.
Which is so dumb.
You don't unschool your kids.
If you send your kids to a public school, you're not a bad parent. You're not a great parent if you send your kid to public school. It doesn't make you any better. Like,
you're just a parent.
You're just a parent.
We're all trying to get through.
Exactly. But I'm not a fan of this unschooling thing. I think the people who are trying to be on the forefront of it are not good examples of people, trying this experiment out. Because that's what it feels like.
You know who really hates the unschooling? The homeschoolers. Because the homeschoolers still have to take state tests.
Yep.
They have to still meet up in groups. They still have curriculum that they gotta follow.
Yeah.
The homeschoolers are like, I don't want you guys thinking it's not the same thing.
I'm interested to see. I mean, if you are a unschooler, or somebody who is unschooled, or a parent who's unschooled, we would love to talk to them.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, like we're not parents, we don't know, but we would love to talk to somebody. We have questions that need answers.
Not if they're professionals, because we said that if you're already a professional, oh yes, teach your child. I'm talking about the unprofessionals, and y'all know them. Y'all know them.
If you guys want to catch up with us, or I don't know. I hope we don't receive any backlash from this. I'm telling you.
Should we put the phone number up?
If you guys want to know what we're up to, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Bubble Bath Stories.
You can find me at Got No Time for This.
And you can find me at Nicky Trendz on IG. If you guys are looking for some official merch, like this hat right here, you can go to our website, bubblebathstories.co. And finally, if you're looking to vent, give us a compliment, a complaint, hit us up on our Google Voice number, 878-1144. We'll also put it down at the bottom because, again, Manny. And that's it. Until next time, guys. Bye.